My name is Victoria Kane, age 34, and the last time my family saw me, they thought I'd flunked out of basic training, left with nothing but embarrassment and a one-way bus ticket home. The polished oak table at Whitmore and Associates shone under the office lights, mirroring the faces of my extended family as they gathered for the reading of my grandmother's will. I sat quietly in the far corner, unnoticed as usual, observing my cousin Miranda command the room from the table's head. She wore her achievements like a shield, her designer Rolex, her custom-fitted Chanel suit, and a polished smile that had carried her through Yale Law and into a partnership at one of Washington, D.C.'s top legal firms. "I'm certain Grandma Rose left the estate to someone who's actually accomplished something," Miranda declared, her tone dripping with her usual air of superiority. Her gaze flicked toward me briefly before dismissing me entirely. "Not everyone is built for the weight of true responsibility," she added. My Aunt Carol gave a nod of agreement. Miranda had always been the family's shining star. Even as a child, she was poring over legal texts while I was outside, digging in the mud with toy soldiers. The attorney, Mr. Whitmore, sifted through his documents with the solemnity of someone who delivered life-altering news for over 40 years. My Uncle James tapped his fingers restlessly on the table, already mentally dividing his portion of the inheritance. My mother sat stiffly, her lips pursed in that familiar way that signaled she was bracing for yet another disappointment from me. I thought back to the last family event 3 years ago, Miranda's engagement party. I'd been on leave after 18 months stationed in places I still couldn't mention. But when I stepped into that country club's grand hall, I wasn't Lieutenant Colonel Victoria Kane. I was just Vicky, the family letdown who'd chased a military path and never amounted to anything. "Still playing war games, huh?" Miranda had remarked that evening, her diamond engagement ring glinting as she waved her hand dismissively. "When are you going to get a proper career? You know, something that actually counts." Her fiancé, an up-and-coming senator with big political dreams, had chuckled. "The military's okay for some, but it's not exactly a path for someone with real ambition," he'd said. I stayed silent, offering a tight smile before slipping away to the restroom, where I spent several minutes staring into the mirror, questioning if they were right, if I'd squandered my best years serving a nation that didn't seem to appreciate my sacrifices. My mother had found me there. "Sweetheart, it's not too late to start over," she'd said. "Miranda could probably get you a clerical job at her firm. Nothing glamorous, but it's steady work." Clerical work, after commanding a covert task force through Afghanistan's rugged terrain, after orchestrating intelligence missions that saved countless lives, after earning honors and medals my family could never comprehend because I could never share what I'd truly done. "Mrs. Kane," Mr. Whitmore's voice snapped me back to the present. "Are you with us?" "My apologies," I said, sitting up straighter. "Please go on." He cleared his throat and continued reading. "To my cherished granddaughter, Miranda, whose legal career has always been a source of family pride, I bequeath my collection of rare law books and my great-grandmother's sapphire necklace." Miranda beamed, soaking in the family's praise with her usual poise. "To my grandson, James Jr., I leave my late husband's lakeside cabin in Wyoming." The room murmured its approval. "To my daughter, Carol, I leave my vintage jewelry collection, excluding the items already named." My aunt's smile was strained, clearly expecting more. "And to my granddaughter, Victoria," Mr. Whitmore paused, his brow furrowing as he scanned the page. "To Victoria, who I always believed would discover her true purpose, even when others couldn't see it, I leave the entirety of my remaining estate, including the family residence, all remaining assets, and my full confidence in her wisdom." The room fell silent, the air thick with shock. "That can't be correct," Miranda said sharply. "Victoria doesn't even have a stable job. She's been playing soldier for 15 years with nothing to show for it." Uncle James chimed in. "She probably earns, $35,000 a year, if that. She's not equipped to handle an estate worth millions." My mother's face paled. "Mr. Whitmore, there must be an error. Victoria's never been the dependable one." The familiar sting of shame burned in my chest, the same feeling I'd carried through childhood, through family gatherings where my efforts were brushed aside, through phone calls where my mother would sigh and ask when I'd settle into something ordinary. But this time something shifted. This time I had a choice. Mr. Whitmore studied me with curiosity, his legal mind clearly at work. "Miss Kane, before we proceed, I need to confirm your current employment status for tax purposes. The estate's financial planning depends on your income bracket." Miranda leaned forward, smirking. "She's enlisted military." Probably earns less than my assistant. Actually, I said softly, pulling a folder from my briefcase, this should clarify things. I slid my military ID across the table. Mr. Whitmore picked it up, his eyes widening as he read it. He looked at me, then back at the ID, then at me again. General Kane, he said, his tone now formal. I apologize, I didn't realize. Your grandmother mentioned your service, but she never specified your rank. The word general hung in the air like a thunderclap. That's impossible, Miranda sputtered. She was a private or something. She flunked out of basic training. I never flunked out, I said evenly. I was chosen for officer candidate school after 2 weeks. I graduated first in my class at West Point, earned a master's from the Naval War College, and have spent the last 15 years serving my country in ways I'm still not at liberty to discuss. My mother's jaw worked soundlessly. But you said on the phone, you said things were tough. I did, I agreed. Leading a classified mission in hostile territory is tough, so is becoming a brigadier general at 31, one of the youngest flag officers in the Army. Uncle James stared at me, dumbfounded. But your car, you drive that beat-up Toyota. It's practical, I said with a shrug. I prefer to save my money rather than flaunt it. A 2-star general's base pay is about $180,000 a year, not counting combat pay, housing allowances, or other benefits. Miranda looked ill. 2-star, you're Major General Victoria Kane, I confirmed. Currently Deputy Commanding General of Joint Special Operations Command. I report directly to the Secretary of Defense. The silence stretched on, heavy and uncomfortable. I watched my family's expressions shift from confusion to disbelief to the slow realization of how deeply they'd underestimated me. The President knows your name, Miranda whispered. We've met several times, I said. He personally pinned on my 2nd star last month. Mr. Whitmore coughed. Well, this certainly streamlines the tax matters. General Kane, given your clearance level and role, I trust you're more than capable of managing the estate. I believe so, I said. I oversee a budget of several $billion and manage operations across multiple continents. I think I can handle Grandma's investments. My mother finally spoke. Victoria, why didn't you ever tell us? I met her gaze, recalling every belittling remark, every suggestion that I was wasting my life, every family event where I was treated as the failure who couldn't get it together. You never asked what I actually did, I said simply. You just assumed. We're so proud of you, Uncle James said quickly, his tone now warm. We always knew you'd achieve great things. No, you didn't, I replied, not harshly. You thought I was a failure who made poor choices, and that's fine. It taught me who I can rely on. I stood, collecting my documents. Mr. Whitmore, please forward the estate paperwork to my office. My aide will take care of the details. Your aide, Aunt Carol squeaked. Lieutenant Colonel Morrison, I said. She handles my schedule and correspondence. She's also a Yale MBA, by the way. I glanced at Miranda. I believe she was a few years ahead of you. As I reached the door, Miranda called out, her voice desperate. Victoria, hold on. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. We're family, I said, turning back to face them. They seemed smaller now, diminished by their own biases. You're right. We are family, which is why I'll ensure Grandma's legacy is managed properly, no matter how you've treated me. But don't confuse my duty with forgiveness. I've learned to distinguish between those who stand by me and those who only want to profit from my success. I walked out of that conference room with my shoulders back, leaving behind 15 years of being the family disappointment and embracing the truth my grandmother had always seen. I was exactly who I was meant to be. The next morning, my phone rang. It was my mother. Victoria, sweetheart, I was thinking we could have lunch. I'd love to hear about your work. I'll have my aide check my schedule, I said. But Mom, next time we talk, remember you're speaking to someone who's dedicated her career to protecting this country, and everyone in it, including you. 3 weeks later, I was back in Afghanistan, leading another mission that would never reach the headlines. But this time, when I caught my reflection in the makeshift mirror of my command tent, I saw exactly who I'd always been. Major General Victoria Kane, a woman who'd earned every star on her uniform and every bit of respect she commanded. And for the first time, that was enough.